My name's Phoenix. I'm 32. And you could probably say, I've always been the reliable one. Not the genius. Not the wild child. Not the pretty one. Just the daughter who paid her rent, called every Sunday, and never missed a holiday. I work in digital marketing, live by myself. And I don't tend to rock the boat. My family, well, they're a lot. Incredibly close in that picture-perfect way. And masters at acting like everything is wonderful while burying the real issues. The illusion I was good at maintaining was that this dynamic stayed at home. But the truth is, I'd built the same reputation at work for 10 years. I've been the senior designer at a high-end marketing firm. I was the fixer. The one who stayed late to clean up messes? The one who pulled all-nighters to meet impossible deadlines set by my boss. Marcus. Marcus was the star, charismatic, silver-tongued, and brilliant at taking credit for work he barely understood. He had this effortless charm that upper management adored. Even when he lost the multi-million-dollar Henderson account because he forgot a client meeting, he spun it as a strategic pivot. I, on the other hand, had single-handedly landed our biggest client, Viridian Dynamics, worked every weekend for a year to keep them happy, and got a $200 gift card as a thank you. But none of that ever seemed to matter. Not enough to get me the creative director title he'd been dangling in front of me for 3 years. Still, I told myself it was fine. I kept my head down. I did the work. I answered his frantic 10 o'clock at night texts. I smiled through the condescending little nicknames. Asterisk fee. You're a lifesaver. Champ. Can you just tweak this, sweetheart? The client hated the color palette. Asterisk. I took it all. I guess a part of me believed that if I just worked hard enough, one day my talent would be seen. Not just my utility. That illusion was shattered last Tuesday. It started with a pitch. The final presentation for the Viridian Dynamics annual campaign. A project worth 7 figures. A project I had bled for. We were in the main boardroom, the one with the sprawling views of the city skyline. The clients were there. Our CEO was there. And Marcus was at the head of the table, clicking through my slides. He was in his element, weaving a story about innovation and synergy. Using words I'd written in the speaker notes, he got to the centerpiece of the campaign, a series of intricate digital ads I had personally designed. And here, he said, gesturing to the screen with a flourish, is where my team's vision really solidifies. He paused, then turned to me, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Phoenix, sweetheart, could you be a dear and get everyone a coffee refill? The Viridian team looks like they could use a boost. The room was silent, except for the quiet hum of the projector. Everyone looked at me. The clients, the CEO, they were all waiting for me to stand up and play the part of the dutiful assistant. I felt my ears get hot. He didn't just dismiss me. He did it in front of the very people I needed to impress. He was marking his territory, reminding me that no matter how good my work was, my place was to serve him. I didn't move. I looked at the lead client, Mr. Sterling, then back at Marcus. My voice, when it came out, was calm and even. Actually, Marcus, I'm in the middle of my presentation. Since you're between slides, perhaps you could handle the coffee run. You could have heard a pin drop on the thick wool carpet. Marcus's smile froze, then melted into a confused scowl. The CEO shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Mr. Sterling from Viridian raised an eyebrow, a flicker of something amusement respect in his eyes. I didn't wait for a response. I turned my attention back to the screen. Now, if you'll look at the Q3 mockups, you'll notice we implemented the dynamic particle effects we discussed last month. This required a custom-coded. I kept talking. I walked them through the rest of the presentation. My presentation, Marcus just stood there, speechless and red-faced, for what felt like an eternity, before sinking back into his chair. He didn't get the coffee. No one did. When I finished, the Viridian team applauded. But as they were packing up, I heard our CEO whisper to Marcus, "My office now." I walked back to my desk, my heart pounding a rhythm of terror and triumph. The line had been drawn, and I knew retaliation was coming. That night, the adrenaline faded. Replaced by a gnawing dread, I sat in my quiet apartment, staring at the wall, replaying the scene over and over. Why did I do it? Because it was never just about the coffee. It was about the time he called me at 2 a.m. on a Sunday to fix a typo in a proposal, he wrote. It was about the industry award he won for a campaign I designed from scratch while I watched from the audience. It was about the promotion that was always just 6 more months away. For years, I had been the ghostwriter of his career, the architect of his success, and he had just tried to reduce me to the role of a waitress in front of the whole world. I'd let him lean on me for so long that he thought I was scaffolding, a permanent structure built to hold him up. But scaffolding can be taken down. The next morning, the war began. It started with an email from Marcus to the entire creative department. With human resources copied, the subject line was professionalism and team conduct. It was a masterclass in corporate gaslighting, a long, vague memo about the importance of respecting leadership structures, supporting team initiatives, and avoiding disruptive behavior that could undermine group morale. He never used my name, but everyone knew who it was about. A few hours later, it got worse. I received a calendar notification. My biggest account, the Viridian Dynamics project I had just presented, was officially reassigned to Liam, a junior designer who still asked me how to properly export a file. The email from Marcus was short, giving you some room to breathe and reflect on your attitude. Phoenix, let me know when you're ready to be a team player again. He walked past my desk a minute later, holding his coffee mug, and gave me a thin, triumphant smirk. He wasn't just trying to punish me. He was trying to break me, to isolate me, humiliate me, and make me an example to anyone else who dared to step out of line. But he miscalculated. He thought I would crumble. Instead, I got organized. That afternoon, I created a new, encrypted folder on my personal cloud drive. I named it Project Chimera. I started documenting everything. Every passive-aggressive email, every backhanded comment in a meeting, every instance of him taking credit for my work. I compiled a timeline of every broken promise and every unreasonable demand. Then, I started digging. I went back through years of old project files, cross-referencing invoices and vendor payments. That's when I found it. A recurring vendor I'd never heard of, Innovate Solutions LLC. They were listed as a strategy consultant on at least a dozen projects. All of them mine. The payments were substantial, ranging from $5,000 to $20,000 a pop. My blood ran cold. I had been the sole strategist and designer on those campaigns. There were no consultants. I picked up my phone and called Jenna. A brilliant project manager, Marcus, had pushed out 6 months ago. Jenna? Hey, Quick question. Do you remember ever working with a vendor called Innovate Solutions? There was a pause on the other end. Then a bitter laugh. Innovate Solutions. Oh, I remember them. That was Marcus's little secret weapon. Funny thing. For a consultant who got paid over $100,000 in the 2 years I was there, I never once saw a report, joined a call, or received a single email from them. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was bigger than stolen credit. This was fraud. I spent the next 48 hours digging deeper. Using my knowledge of our accounting software to track the payment authorizations, they were all approved by Marcus using a special override code reserved for department heads. But I needed to know who was behind the company. I needed a name. The discovery felt like stepping off a cliff. After hours of searching through public business registries, I found the incorporation documents for Innovate Solutions LLC. My stomach twisted into a knot of ice. The company was registered as a sole proprietorship, and the owner, the single name listed on every legal document, was Phoenix Reyes. My name? I stared at the screen, my breath catching in my throat. He hadn't just been stealing from the company. He had been doing it in my name. I scrolled down to the signature on the original filing document from 4 years ago. It was a forgery, a slightly pixelated, clumsy copy of the signature from my employment contract. He had built his escape hatch and made me the door. If this ever came to light, he would walk away clean, pointing his finger at the disgruntled employee who had been siphoning funds all along. He hadn't just put me in a box, he had built me a cage and was getting ready to throw away the key. The quarterly all-hands meeting was scheduled for Friday. The entire executive board would be there, including the CEO and CFO. It was Marcus's big moment to shine, to present the creative department's record-breaking performance. Built on the back of my work and funded by his fraud, I knew what I had to do. A direct confrontation would be my word against his, and he had already painted me as insubordinate. Going to human resources was a risk. They existed to protect the company, not me. No, I couldn't just expose him. I had to detonate him. For the next 2 days, I barely slept. I assembled my case. I downloaded every invoice from Innovate Solutions. I took screenshots of the forged incorporation documents. I tracked the payments from our company accounts to the Innovate Solutions bank account. And then, using a digital forensics trick a friend in finance taught me, I found the subsequent transfers from that account to an offshore entity in the Cayman Islands registered to Marcus Thorne. I wrote a detailed, chronological report, clear and undeniable. I even included a signed affidavit from Jenna, corroborating the phantom vendor scheme. Friday morning, I resigned. I sent a simple 2-sentence email to Human Resources and walked out of the building with my single box of belongings. I didn't go home. I went to the coffee shop across the street, took a seat by the window with a direct view of the boardroom, and waited. At precisely 10 o'clock in the morning, the meeting began. I could see Marcus on the large screen, standing at the podium, beaming with confidence. He clicked to his first slide. At that exact moment, I hit send. An email with the subject line, "Urgent Financial Misconduct Investigation Regarding Marcus Thorne and Innovate Solutions LLC," landed in the inbox of every executive in that room. Every board member, the head of our parent company, and the company's entire legal counsel. Attached was Project Chimera, a 60-page PDF containing every piece of evidence: the forged signature, the fraudulent invoices, the bank transfer records, the affidavits, everything. I watched through the window as, one by one, the faces in the boardroom tilted down to look at their phones and laptops. The CEO's expression went from pleasant attention to pale shock. The CFO took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Marcus, oblivious for a moment, faltered as he lost his audience. Then his own phone buzzed. I watched him glance at it. The color drained from his face. The power flip was absolute. It was no longer his stage. It was his indictment. 2 security guards, who had been standing by the door, calmly began walking toward the podium. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Marcus was fired, escorted from the building, and within a week was facing a federal investigation for embezzlement and wire fraud. The company went into a frantic damage control spiral. 2 days later, the CEO called me personally. His voice was strained. Phoenix, there are no words to express how sorry I am. We failed you. We allowed a predator to thrive, and you paid the price. We want to make it right. There was a pause. The creative director position is yours. More than that, we're creating a new senior vice president of creative role. For you, name your price. Whatever it is, we'll pay it. I let the offer hang in the air for a moment. The old me, the me from a week ago, would have cried with relief. She would have accepted in a heartbeat. But she was gone. Thank you for the offer, Mr. Henderson, I said, my voice steady. But I'm afraid I'll have to decline. I'm starting my own agency. He was silent. You should know, I added. Viridian Dynamics terminated their contract with you this morning. They signed on as my first client today. I'm sitting in my new office. It's not huge, but it's mine. With bright sunlight streaming through the windows, 2 of the best designers from my old team resigned and joined me last week. Jenna is my new head of operations. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Mr. Telv, Mr. Tens. Sterling at Viridian. Latest mock-ups are brilliant. You're a rock star. I didn't just get justice. I built a new world where my value isn't up for debate. For years, I waited for someone else to give me a seat at the table. Now, I own the table, the chairs, and the whole darn building. So let me ask you, are you waiting for an invitation? Or are you ready to build your own room